All right, well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank you all for taking a little time out of your Monday, maybe a holiday for some of you, on Lions Talk Live. And I'm going to say this. I think a lot of times as we're getting ready to make today's show, we're getting the thumbnail ready, all that type of stuff, start talking about topics for teams. Hey, you're looking for who's the possibility to sign with Detroit Lions, who are we going to cut, who are we going to pick up, yada, yada, yada. You get the gist. I'm going to say this. Sometimes we forget what we already have, and sometimes you don't know what you got until it's gone. Whatever it may be, I think the Lions have done a lot of good things over the 3 seasons so far. Brad Holmes and this administration has worked on revitalizing, revamping, reforming the Detroit Lions franchise. This has been a historically down franchise, as we're all aware, for 60, 70 years, whatever you want to say, a long, long time. How about that? A couple bright spots here and there, but I think part of the bright spots that we're starting to see emerge and become the everyday is look at the Detroit Lions, how they're built, how they're constructed, draft first mentality, develop players mentality. And as you can tell from the thumbnail today, I really do think the more I've watched some game tape, I mean, hey, you got time on days off, you sit around, you watch some stuff. Went back and watched Broderic Martin's game tape, both from the preseason and from the limited action we got out of him during the regular season. You can see some strong growth. Now you look at some of his stats, the measurables, I guess you would say. 6'5", reportedly somewhere between 330 and 340 pounds. One could make an argument, maybe even a little bit more, but you get the gist. The guy's a load to deal with. Now you look at his 40-yard dash time, his cone and shuttle times. All of it starts building up, and then what you see with what you have out of him on tape, again, during a limited basis, I think this kid really could be something. I'm starting to anticipate more and more. There's a reason why we haven't made other moves to address the interior defensive tackle position yet. Now, it doesn't mean we can't do something in the draft or free agency, but I am going to say this. There is some strong evidence there that Broderic Martin, maybe by the middle of next season or maybe by year 3, I'm obviously hoping for year 2 next year, Broderic Martin might be one of the big answers for this Detroit Lions defense. You think about the guys we brought in and drafted. If James Houston can be retained and healthy, develop a little bit better ability with the run defense, him, Broderic Martin, maybe somebody else like Gilmore and Lucas, the answers to a lot of our problems might already be here. Let's see what you guys have to say about a lot of this, but I'm just throwing some thoughts at you guys this morning. All right, a couple things before we get into the meat of the show, in case you didn't know. We're making a push on Lions Talk Live to get to 5,900. We're about 80, 70 some subs away. So if you haven't yet subscribed and you're willing to do so, please consider doing so. Also, if you're enjoying the content of the video, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. As you guys probably are all definitely aware, helps the channel out a ton. Last but never least, I've got bills to pay just like everybody else. Hey, that Mountain Dew I drink isn't free. So if you are looking to buy or sell property anywhere in the great state of Michigan, give me a call, shoot me a text, whatever you want to do, get in touch with me and let me see if I can use 30 years plus in the industry to your behest and save you some money. I'd like to see if you're considering vacant land, commercial property, whatever it is, a new home, want to sell your home, give me a call and let me see if I can work for you and save you some money. If you're outside the state of Michigan, I can still give you some advice, point you in the right direction, give you some helpful tidbits. So feel free to reach on out. All right, let's get going with this morning's show, and thank you all for listening to that. Moonscar, good morning, Duke crew. Time to feed the addiction with Lions Talk Live. You know what? Think about this as Lions fans, Moonscar and everybody watching. Think about how much this fan base's expectations have changed in really less than 24 months. Take out the first season with this program, this regime. We get it. We saw some stuff at the end of the season, the win over Arizona, the win against Minnesota, and then the win against Green Bay Packers. Gave everybody a nice way to go off into the offseason. Think, hey, maybe there's some hope that we can get a few wins next year. Second year, hey, we start off, we all know, 1-6. Things are looking doom and gloom. Everybody's, not feeling the greatest about the franchise. And then the historically great run towards the end of the year that nearly got us into the postseason. Last year just continued that trend. And I'm going to say this, Woodskar, you're 100% right. The addiction of being a Lions fan is here. It's real. And it could be argued that the Lions going into next year are going to be one of the top 4 or 5 teams considered for the Super Bowl. There's no reason to bet against us. All right, Jason, greetings and salutations, Duke Crew. Superdome or bust, 100% with you there. All roads to the Super Bowl are going to go through the Superdome, so we might as well all start planning out our trips and tickets for the Superdome next year. And let's hope one of our 3 drafted DTs, defensive tackles, make a bigger impact in 2024. Martin, Pascal, or Levi? Who's it going to be? I'm going to go with, in this scenario, I'm going to go with Broderic Martin, just because, I mean, the guy is just a massive human being. He seems to have the right personality traits where he wants to definitely get vast improvement in his game. So you add that along with the athleticism, the training, the coaching. A lot of people thought Ife Melifonwu was going to be a bust or was a bust until last year happened. Then not so much. Now he's considered probably a lock to be a starter in Detroit. You also look at, Derek Barnes. He played a little bit last year, his sophomore year. Rookie year, not a whole lot. You saw some stuff in preseason that gave you some indications this could be something. But then throughout his rookie year, a lot of people kind of went south on him, just said, man, he's not doing this or that. Sometimes I think we all need to take a moment of pause and a deep breath. And remember, not every player comes on in right away as a rookie and dominates. Most players need a season or 2 to kind of get their feet under them. And that's kind of the example with Iffy, and you could say Barnes, and there's tons of other ones you could use as examples. Darius Slay, when he was here, Jerry Ball. And that's, since I'm bringing up Jerry Ball, I'm going to say this. If you guys want, go and look at his trajectory to becoming an all-pro player. Look at Broderic Martin. I really do think we're going to see quite a bit out of this kid. And I get it won't be a hot topic. I get it won't be something everybody's going to be like, man, we can't wait to see this kid. I'm just saying from a coach's perspective, watch this guy this upcoming offseason. I think he could be one of the big breakout candidates for this team. All right, Lions fan number 1, greetings and salutations all. Everyone is sleeping on Broderic Martin. I think that kid could develop into a huge home run for us. I 100% agree. Part of the job of any kind of scout or anybody in the offseason is to see what somebody else misses. And I'm just saying, from the limited amount of film I could get on the kid, you could see a massive jump from the preseason to when he started getting in a few games towards the middle of the season. And you got to anticipate that jump continued to grow and develop. Once he gets some of the mechanics down to his game to where he can do it without thinking, that's where I think this kid's going to have a huge breakout. And we might be talking about the next person that was an absolute coup or, home run or what do you want to say by Brad Holmes. They continue to find guys that everybody else misses. Let's also not forget they traded for Broderic Martin, basically traded up to get Broderic Martin. And a lot of other teams clearly were targeting him if you go back to the draft and see what happened in the corresponding picks. All right, Boo, what do you got? Good morning, Duke Crew. Superdome or bust, 1,000%. And hopefully having a great morning there, Boo. Hookadoo, morning coach in the Duke Crew. Back at you, buddy. How's your day? Hopefully it's a good one. Quentin, greetings and salutations, y'all. Holmes grows his own boys. Ain't gonna be signing no big names, guys. He will continue to draft and grow. Yeah, and I think that's basically the mantra of his mindset. He wants his own guys. He doesn't want to go out and spend a ton of cash on guys who aren't Detroit Lions. Doesn't mean they won't sign some people, but I know we've all been talking about for a week or two now about, are we going to sign this guy, that guy, etc. But I also think we all need to keep in mind we're asking some of these guys to take a little bit of a discount to help retain some more of the players that have been drafted or been a part of the renaissance of the Detroit Lions. So if that's being true and you're asking all these guys to take a little bit less, it's going to be a real hard, I think, pill to swallow if you now take all that savings and bring in somebody who wasn't here the day before and probably have to pay them max value to get them. So that's where I think you're spot on with that, Quinn. All right, Hookadoo. My washcloth of destiny said Superdome or bust. Fair enough. Go Lions. The washcloth of destiny. We got the tree of destiny, the towel of destiny. Man, we are building up some historic relics here to help power the Lions into the promised land. Robert G, good morning all. Back at you. Hopefully having a great one. Boo, what do you got? I'm thinking Levi may yet prove to be productive. He played in the playoffs. He did. Given a healthy offseason, maybe. I guess that's the big question there, Boo. He's got a ton of ability and talent, massive strength, without question on the strength. I think a lot of it just comes down to, that spine. And it's no joke. I have not had a bad back, nowhere near that level. But the few people I know that have had spine fusions all say the same thing. It is changing. And the fact he's on an NFL roster after having to do that, especially at a down stance position like a defensive tackle or defensive edge, that says a lot about what he could have been. Maybe you're right. Maybe he can, really turn it on. Maybe they can do something to help alleviate some of the stiffness in the back and the lack of flexibility. But whatever it is, I'm like probably everybody watching the show, we're rooting for him 100%. That would only make the team better. And he seems to be an outstanding person. So we'll see what happens in this upcoming season with him. Moonscar, Martin has the strength, just got to get him some better feet and keep him to play lower with his better leverage. Yeah, and I think you're spot on with the leverage aspect. You could see, especially in the preseason games, he just wants to stand up too quick, too fast. Probably a byproduct of what he did in college. Because he was so massive and athletic, he could just power through most people. Probably didn't need a whole lot of sound technique. That's not so much the case with the offensive lineman he's now facing. So to me, that's a coachable moment. That's a teachable thing. You can refine those skills. You cannot refine 6'5", 330, 350 pounds. That I can't teach. That nobody can teach. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But I think, yes, like I put in the thumbnail, I think he could be a breakout person for us next year. JDC, good morning, all. Back at you. Hopefully I'm a good one. All right, Pickering, good morning, Dan and Duke crew. Back at you, Pickering, and hopefully your day is a great day. Let's see, AJ, greetings and salutations all. Coach Dan, I really like the new thumbnail setup. Look sharp. Thanks for that. Spent a little time on it. It's been evolving for, a week or so now, but I think it's looking pretty decent. If you guys have any thoughts on it, though, let me know. I'm sure you will. Michael, great salutations, Coach and Duke crew! ! Baltimore Ravens are talking about releasing Beckham. Are interested in Josh Reynolds. Would be a loss for the Lions. Yeah, and it'd be unfortunate, but Josh Reynolds, I get it. You also have to make sometimes business decisions for yourself. Reynolds, I want to say, is 29. That sounds about right. So the high probability is this will be the last free agency contract he'll be able to sign. If he goes to Baltimore, it's a loss for us. I like the guy. I get people giving him some flack for the NFC title game, but you know what? It is what it is. Everybody has a down moment sometimes. Releasing Beckham makes a little bit of sense to me just because, and I don't know the Baltimore Ravens as well as I know the Lions, but it doesn't seem like for the cost you spent on Odell Beckham that you got the production to offset it or make it justified. So we'll see what happens, and I hope Josh Reynolds stays, but you're not going to be able to keep everybody at the same time. All right, Jeff, Michael Dover, I wonder what he will cost. That I don't know what Reynolds will get in a free agent contract, but hopefully for him and his family, it's a good one because, again, you're assuming it's probably going to be a 2 or 3 year deal that puts him at, 31, 32. Maybe he gets another contract after that, but obviously time is no longer on his side. All right, Ed, what do you got? Good morning, Coach and Duke crew. With the combine starting next week, what drill should we be paying attention to in order to best evaluate a cornerback? For me, especially since we're more than likely going to play man-to-man more than zone, I'd be looking at the cone drill and the shuttle drills just to be able to see headline speed and change the direction. If you're going to watch them, watch the hips, watch the elbows. That's one of the biggest things with cornerbacks or receivers. How quickly can they shift momentum, weight, etc., to get in from a zigzag cut? So somebody wants to run an in route, out route. You're looking for that hugely, massively in a cornerback because you want them to be able to quickly recover and adjust to any route tree negotiations a receiver makes. The faster you can do that and get out of that lead foot. So when I plant, say I'm going to go inwards to the right and plant that left foot, I use the hips and elbows to help alter my momentum to take me to the right. You want to watch how fast they come out of that break. It's one of the biggest impacts for any man-to-man dominant base corner. So the 40-yard dash is another big one. I get it. We all want speed. The measurables, height, etc., leaping ability or jumping ability, how high they can go on the vertical to help deflect the pass. But for me, I want to see how well you can keep up in routes. And so that's, again, you're going to want to pay attention to the hips, the elbows, and the knees when they make those adjustments. So great question there, Ed. Jeff, and good morning all. Back at you. Hopefully having a great morning, man. All right, Silver Surfer, just wanted to say hi before I go. All right, well, hi, Silver Surfer, and hopefully you're off doing something fun today, man. Enjoy it. Have a great day. All right, Dave, what do you got? Greetings and salutations to everyone. Do we think Martin and Lucas Gilmore could be the answers to our defense? Question mark. Just seems like Brad Holmes does not favor signing large contract free agents. I know a couple of you have already brought it up, but I think you're 100% right. He wants guys to stay in-house. He wants those contracts. He wants the rookie years. He also wants to seemingly reward his own guys. So to me, it makes sense because you're building a certain type of culture, mindset that, hey, if you're a Detroit Lion, we bring you in, you do the things we ask, you spend your time working through the grind of being a part of this family, then yes, we're financially going to reward you when the time is due. So I don't anticipate we'll go out and sign any big name free agents. I know we've speculated on a few, some that you guys have brought up, some that, I've thought of. I could even see where maybe you would help. We talked about this yesterday. If you brought in some, Chris Jones type, and I'm not saying we're getting Chris Jones, I'm saying someone like that, how you would have to use a lot of lower end draft picks to help offset that cost, at least somewhat, to make it more palatable. But I think Detroit's got a model in place very similar to the Green Bay Packers where, hey, we're going to draft guys, we're going to grow them, we're going to develop them, and then we're going to try to retain them. So food for your thoughts. Doug, what do you got? Greetings and salutations, Dan and Do crew. Broderic Martin could be another Aleem. Yeah, and Aleem started his rookie year. I almost said freshman there, but a rookie year in part because there wasn't any real talent to oppose him. Broderic Martin, though, does have some players in front of him. We all saw a little bit of a, I guess you'd say, just spinning through a bunch of different guys at the defensive tackle spot, kind of just churning one guy in and out. Broderic Martin, I think they were trying to be careful with. I mean, I don't have any inside information or anything on this. I just think from watching the game film, I think they were trying to be careful with him to not overexpose him, to not try to rush him or force him into bad situations that could also impact his growth, but also that of the team in key games. He got a couple games in. I liked what I saw. I think there's going to be a whole lot more that we're all going to like from watching this guy next year. All right, Michael, howdy, Dan and Lions Faithful, back at you, buddy. Hopefully you're having a good one. Michael, Lucas, and Gilmore are good special teams players. Yeah, and I get last year, everybody's kind of jumping up and down. Hey, let's get these guys on the field. Let's see what they can do. They could develop into something. Will it happen next year? I don't know. But it does seem, as we've already talked about on the show, you do see a lot of Lions rookie players in the middle rounds, etc., that take a little time to develop, and then they become something. And again, Ife Melifonwu, Derek Barnes are the easy ones to pick out from a couple of draft classes, I guess 3 ago when the first draft was made for this regime. Could it be that Lucas and Gilmore break out this year? Absolutely. I'm anticipating that breakout will be Broderic Martin. I could see where other people come into play. There was somebody who's, I don't remember offhand. One of the people that watch the show a lot sent me a thing about the redrafting of last year's draft, I guess. And you look at outside of Jack Campbell, everybody went and don't hold me to this. I want to say like the top 15. So out of our top 4 picks, everybody was a top 15 pick. But that just goes to show how well this regime does draft and then obviously develop. All right, Robert, greetings and salutations, Do crew, back at you. Good morning to you. Bergs, morning, Dan. Thank you for all you do. I see what you did there. Woo! The first woo of the day. There you go. And thanks for that, Bergs, man. Always a pleasure to have you in the show. Darcy, what do you got? Good morning, all. Coach, I heard a rumor you might be going to work for Woodward Sports, question mark. Is that true? No, I don't foresee myself at Woodward Sports anytime this week or anything like that. So we'll see and shakes out. I did have one company talk to me about potentially doing something with them. I did talk to Mike a little bit about that yesterday to get his thoughts, but we will see what happens there. But I'm not planning on leaving YouTube anytime soon. If that's your question, I enjoy it, man. I enjoy this a ton. So, but I do love journalism. I do love reporting. As you guys know, I've done it for since the late 80s, I guess. So, I mean, I might do some journalistic stuff again, but yeah, that would be different than this. We'll just put, I guess I should have just said that. It would be different than this. All right, Moonscar, are we honored with the David Bling's presence in the chat today? I think so. Think there was a David Bling, but don't hold me to that. All right, Ed, based on what we are drafting, where we are drafting, is it realistic to think we can find a day one starter? Ooh, good question. So I guess let's look at it. Do we think, let me ask you guys in the comment section, at pick 29, do we think we could get somebody who could start? And I guess the obvious thoughts would be, maybe an offensive line, cornerback, or defensive edge. I would say, yeah, you could probably find a starter there. The second round, it's definitely possible. You look at the track record of Brad Holmes in the second round, it is possible. And again, it'd be my anticipation, at least one of those three spots. And then Ed, to your thoughts, I wouldn't be surprised in the later rounds we find our new kicker. So if you could get, say, two starters this year, and it's one of those mentioned positions, I could definitely see that happening. I don't think we're going to get a starting running back or somebody who's going to supplant Gibbs or Montgomery. I don't think it's going to happen at receiver or tight end. Of course, obviously, diamonds of the rough happen. I'm trying to think other spots. Linebacker, probably not. Safety, probably not. But, I mean, who knows? Anything is possible. But those would be my anticipations, at least. Dave, what do you got? Moonscar. Yes, I'm here. Okay. Yeah, there is a David Bling. Yep. All right, Bing. Excuse me. Robert, Dan, there are a lot of talk about the Bears signing Danielle Hunter. Please tell me that's not so. We, obviously nobody's going to know anything until free agency hits or unless something was to leak out. But I would say there is a probability there. You look at where the Bears are trying to basically build their strengths, and it's definitely on that defensive front. Right now, in just my opinion, there is a massive arms race taking place in the NFC North. And if I'm the Chicago Bears, I understand I've got to stop the Packers offense and the Lions offense. If I don't do that, I probably just don't have much of a chance at winning next year, at least. Beyond that, who knows? We'll see. But to your point, yeah, I think they're trying to build something particular there that gives them an ability to be in those games against Green Bay and Detroit. Minnesota, absolutely as well. It's just right now there's a lot of questions about the Vikings. Are they going to re-sign Kirk Cousins? I'm thinking more and more that's not likely. I think Kirk Cousins is going to be gone. I also do think there is more and more evidence that Justin Fields will not be the quarterback at Chicago next year. And that's not a real big spoiler. I just think he's probably hitting the road into an AFC team. That would be my strong guess there. So in regards to Hunter, yeah, I think he's probably going to sign somewhere in the NFC, and the Bears, I get nobody wants to hear it, but the Bears are in play. All right, Debbie, what do you got? Good morning, everybody. I feel like Martin is slept on. The guy is massive upside. Just look at his size and athletic abilities alone. Yeah, agreed. 1,000%, 1,000,000%, 1,000,000%. This kid could really be something, and he could be. And I get I used the reference to Jerry Ball earlier. I get that's probably a little dated for maybe a portion of the people watching the show, but I will say this. Jerry Ball, his rookie year wasn't solid by any means. It was limited. And I want to say it was really his third year when he broke out. But when he broke out, let me tell you, that dude was a game changer. If you want to go watch some video, you want to see a guy who's, gosh, he might have been bigger than Broderic Martin. He might have had 10, 15 pounds on Broderic Martin. Don't hold me to that because I'm going off memories from 30 years ago. But that guy could just destroy offensive linemen. He was double teamed. I would say as much as Aaron Donald or anybody else. And I'm not saying he's Aaron Donald. I'm just saying you had to have two bodies on him every snap or he was going to destroy things. I do think Broderic Martin has some real abilities that are similar to that. Will he be that next year? Will he be that ever? Time will tell. But I will say this. I do think Broderic Martin will be somebody who impacts the Detroit Lions roster for years to come. All right, Michael, I can see Decker extension to reduce this year's cap, but how much for a 2 or 3 year deal? I think there's a couple players that potentially, to your point, Michael, could have some contract extensions. How much? That's a fair question. I think Decker wants to remain here. I also think he's at the point in his career where he wants some financial stability going into realistically one of his final contract extensions, or we'll just say contracts. He might get as you suggest, a 2 or 3 year extension, and it's possible after that he plays. But I would also say it's, it'd be 50-50 at best that he goes beyond that. So with that being said, how much does he get? I think if he extends, he's probably looking somewhere in I'm almost thinking he'll take a team-friendly deal. So we'll just say somewhere 12 to 14 million a year. Probably some incentive bases in there to help elevate it to those amounts. So we'll wait and see. But could he shave a couple million off here and there to help the Lions? Yes. I don't think he'll be the only player that they'll try to do that with as well. Moonscar, awesome, Mr. Bing! Exclamation point! Glad to have you. Yes. All right, Bit Lady. Good morning, Dan, the Duke crew. I don't mind having Martin as a project on the team. Hope the new D-line coach helps. But the original issue I have with Brad Holmes is drafting a project player in the 3rd round. Yeah, there's tons of different ways to look at it. Bit Lady, you've got a point that you could try to bring in somebody more impactful, and I guess that'll be the great debate. You look at some of the 3rd rounders he's hit on, I guess, like Iffy, who was a 3rd rounder and took a little time to grow and develop. In Iffy, we could say maybe his biggest hindrance to growth and development was his ability to stay healthy. Guy just unfortunately kept getting injured. You did see some flashes out of him as a rookie, especially as a corner who did well, but he kept getting hurt. If Broderic Martin does come in, as I'm thinking he will next year, and make an impact. And so I guess what I should clarify is saying next year, I think he has the potential to be in the top 3, maybe 4 rotational parts for the interior defensive line. If he's in the top 3, that guy's getting a lot of snaps. 4, he's getting some snaps. And beyond that, I don't want to set expectations too high, but I do think there's evidence he could be a massive improvement year 2, year 3. Again, a Jerry Ball type. We'll see what shakes. Trey, what do you got? What's good all? Question mark. Bank is closed today, so I am getting up and getting my workout in while watching the show. Hope everyone has a great day. Back at you, and hopefully you have a good workout too. Thanks for being here, man. Ed, trade Hooker before it's too late. All I hear is how great he is, but what has he done? That would be the other side of it, Ed, is if you go to trade him, will teams say, well, what has he done? So we're not giving you much. And I'm not saying what's right or wrong or anything. You guys all know, you guys watch enough YouTube or other media platforms. There are people saying trade Goff. There's people saying trade Hooker. There's people saying keep them both. Let them compete. And it makes the Lions stronger because then you've got one way or another, whoever starts, you got a pretty good backup. So to me, there's no right or wrong answer with it. What would you get for Hendon Hooker in a trade? Man, I don't know. That I don't know. And to me, you'd be able to get the greatest value for him, I guess, from a team who isn't going to be able to select a quarterback in the 1st or 2nd round. I guess that's what I would think. If you're going to be able to snag something in the 1st round, especially the top 15 picks, I'm guessing you're not trading for Hendon Hooker. I could be wrong, though. So, Bet Lady, if Martin was drafted in the 5th round, there wouldn't be such a high hopes. Yeah, and call for busts if he doesn't pan out. Part of drafting is getting your guys at value. Yeah, and the Lions did trade up to get Martin, and they traded a bit to get him. So what we can say, I guess, Bit Lady, is that the scouting department, the front office, saw some sort of real value in him. That value hasn't produced itself on the field yet, but there's a reason why they went after him and went after him so hard. We can also say, based on the track record of this regime, they've been far more right than wrong. So let's hope they continue that trend with Broderic Martin. All right, Michael, what do you got? Everyone talks about Goff doing a team-friendly deal, but St. Brown $25 million per year doesn't sound team-friendly. No, if he gets that, which right now it's just speculation, I get it'd be understandable why he would get paid $25 million. The guy, I mean, he's got some value. He is one of the better receivers in the NFL. So that contract would be in commensurance of that. So I get that. Is it team-friendly? Boy, I guess that would be a bit of a debate. Personally, I would love him to get signed more like 20 to 23 million a year. I get it's not a huge difference. At 23, at least, it's not a big difference. But, if you get guys to take $1 million or $2 million less, you get 5 guys to do it, you've got another person signed. That's kind of where I'd be going with it. Michael, I would keep Hooker as a backup for now. He has a rookie contract, backup QB. Go for a lot of money. Yeah. And boy, Joe Flacco last year, I want to say, don't hold me to it, I want to say he was like 3 or 4 million. So you would be able to save basically, I don't know, 60, 75% of that contract just by keeping Hendon Hooker. And I guess there's the other part of it too. If you keep him, maybe he does develop and you're like, we can move off Goff in the future if Goff struggles or whatever. So you got to, I mean, there's pros and cons to every part of that debate, what to do with the quarterback situation. What I think what we can all say is, hey, Jared Goff has done something nobody else alive has done for the Detroit Lions. Win multiple playoff games, let alone the same year. So maybe we should just focus on, hey, the good of things and not worry about the possibilities of other things until that time arises. All right, Anthony, good morning. Do Cruz, Super Bowl or bust, 100%. And thanks for that. Hope you're having a great morning, my friend. Always good to have you on the show. Boo, what seems like a lot of money goes down in the years to come, cap-wise. Then it looks like a steal, 100%. And you look at, since we've talked about Goff, look at his contract. When he signed it, everybody was like, man, that's huge. It's crazy. And then even when we traded and got him, people are like, man, that contract is bogus. Don't touch that dude. Nowadays, we're looking at it like, man, we got a steal at quarterback. Sorry about that. So anyways, yeah, just you're 100% right, Boo. Over time, things change very quickly. All right, Michael, I'm glad I don't do these contracts. All right, yeah, and leave that to the front office people. All right, Detroit D, greetings and salutations, everyone. Back at you. Hopefully you're having a great morning. Motown Mitch, good morning, Coach. Good morning to you, Motown. Hopefully you're enjoying the day. Dominic, good morning from Texas. Go Lions! Let's go Lions! Super Bowl is in the future, and that will be the biggest thing talking about going into next season. Detroit Lions, I don't think there's any way to avoid it. The Detroit Lions are a Super Bowl contender, and let that sink in. Every media outsource, every magazine, whatever, who are the favorites next year, we're going to be in that conversation, whether it's top, 6, 5, 4, we'll wait and see which each prognosticator puts out there. But I'll say this, there's no way to get around it. The Detroit Lions are one of the leading contenders to be in next year's Super Bowl. Super Bowl or bust. All right, Doug, what do you got? Let's see. He has all the attributes. Now he just needs to develop more of his athletic ability. McNeil made some improvements. He may also. Yeah, imagine if they do pan out and they're right there next to each other. Detroit drafted him, brought it in. Maybe Levi's a bit of a backup along with somebody else. Yeah, this team's got some real potential to have Broderic Martin make an impact among other players. Ed, has Martin and others started their offseason development programs yet? Yeah, especially players of that age, they've probably took a week off, maybe in some situations too. But at this point, to your point, Ed, they're already working with their trainers or getting stuff done to improve their overall physiques, performances, training, development. So they're into it at the pro level, whether it's NBA, G League, NFL, UFL or whatever. Those guys are all going through it. And it would be interesting, too, to see if there were any Lions players that had considered, especially lower end players that had considered playing the U.S. UFL, just to see if they could further develop their skills. It would come with a cost on their body, but I wouldn't be surprised if one or two of the guys do get absorbed over there just for the reps. All right, Dale, what do you got? Greens, salutations, Duke Crew. Back at you, Dale. Hopefully you're having a great one. Matthew, greens, salutations. Good morning, everyone. All right, Matthew, hopefully you're having a great one. JP, Martin is huge. He is worth giving time to. Yeah, and he's got massive upside, and that's why, I mean, again, I didn't have a ton of video to watch him, but if you break down the video, that's where I think you start seeing the development happening. And it's, hey, everybody develops differently. Some people rocket on up. Some people slowly matriculate their way up. Whatever it is, I can say this. Broderic Martin, at least last year, slowly matriculated up, but you could see the improvement, definitely. All right, Boo. Martin said he is going to take Aleem McNeil all as his way to go. All right, changing his body, that would be awesome. Yeah, if he's going to really focus on body development and then add technique to it, then you've got a weapon there. I wonder what they'll do to alter his body, because he wasn't. It's not like he was a small guy, but he wasn't like a fat guy by any means. He had some mass and muscle on him. I'm not gonna say he's like a Mr. Universe contestant or anything. He's not sculpted like that. But if they're gonna firm him up a little bit more, make him even more athletic and flexible, to me that would be the big thing, flexibility. Then yeah, you've got something there. Doug, Jack Campbell will improve with a whole year of experience to dwell on. Yeah, you could see Captain Jack's improvement last year. I thought he did quite a bit from the start of the year to the end of the year. But to your point, the one area he came out of college being really known for was his pass coverage abilities. I get NFL is different than college. You could see where the start of the year he could keep up with players. I remember he kept up with some running backs, especially going to the sidelines. But when they dropped him into zone coverage, you could see he was uncomfortable. Maybe it would be the way to put it. Just wasn't great at it. Over the course of the season, though, it did improve quite a bit. And I do think Campbell will probably have a noticeable incline in her development next year. So I think you're spot on with that, Doug. Ken, good morning, all. And holy moly, Danny Dewman, 2 minutes into the show, and there's an hour worth of chat already. Hit that thumbs up button, people. Woo! Thanks for that. And yes, hey, the Duke crew shows up ready to go. Those fingers are ready to go, or voice to text or whatever it may be. But yeah, I enjoy the fact you guys help make the show what it is. There's a great possibility that many players that are drafted won't play early. Yeah, good team problem. Yeah, and I mean that used to be the standard in the NFL. Most rookies, if you look at the 70s, 80s, maybe even early 90s, really took time to develop. You look at some of the Lions' hallmark players. Herman Moore was meh. I mean, Calvin Johnson was meh their rookie years. It took a season or two for them to get into things. And that's, there's tons of different players and positions you go through. I know I talked earlier about Darius Slay. He was probably below meh his rookie year. In the second year he was okay. His third year, though, that's when he broke out. And you're seeing some evidence of that continuing with the Lions rookies drafted in the latter rounds or middle rounds throughout this regime. Matthew, what do you got? Slow development on the D-line is why Dan brought in the new coach from the Titans. There's probably a lot of truth to that. When he is done with them, we may already have everyone we need. Yeah, and you look at the intangible parts of a lot of the guys on that defensive front. If they do come in, and as you suggest, the new coach that coaches them up, helps them make that push forward, we have spent a lot of capital on that defensive line. I get we haven't got quite the returns a lot of us expected. So maybe to your point, the new D-line coach can help assist with that. All right, Adele Alua was a nice surprise towards the end of the season. Might have a rotational player there. Thoughts, Coach Dan? Yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere this year. So to your point, he came in, he did some things. I thought it was real telling in the NFC title game how much he was out on the field. So that could be a strong indication the coaching staff thinks he's pretty sound and they want to ride with him. So now it just comes to normal offseason stuff. Hey, what you did last year is nice, but now you've got to re-earn that spot, those snaps, those reps, those minutes this upcoming season, and that's where the competition comes in. I'm a huge fan of competition for anything you get as a player, probably in life, you could say. So you want everybody to feel like they've got just as much opportunity to earn those snaps as the next guy, and you know what? You want them, you're going to have to grind for them. So I think you're right with that. Doug would love to steal some players from other teams who cannot keep everyone. Someone who fits our style and wants a shot where they are given a shot. Yeah, Doug, anyone in particular you're thinking of? Let me know. But yeah, I'm with you. I think Holmes and the coaching staff, they're going to be reviewing any free agents. Who can we get that somebody else missed a way to use them that we're not going to miss them? You can make a statement or a case, I guess you should say, for Jalen Reeves-Maybin. He did leave us for a short amount of time, but I was surprised he wasn't more used in Tampa than what he was here. Clearly, he desired to come back here when the opportunity arose because of his familiarity with probably the coaching staff and the team, plus the situation and how he would be used. And that's really what I think you're spot on with. They're going to be looking for some diamonds in the rough. Doug, I think Pascal will make a mount of improvement. He was captain of U of K for a reason. Yeah, and he's got the personality traits. He's got a lot of the intangibles. You could see development this year. His biggest thing just appears to be staying healthy and on the field because he's lost a lot of developmental time due to accumulation of different injuries. David, what do you got? I think Broderic Martin is going to make a big impact. This can't wait. Impact this. Can't wait for the season to start already. Woo! 100%. And yeah, I think you get through free agency in the draft, you're going to see every Lions fan just salivating, waiting for preseason conditioning camp and everything to open up. I'm going to anticipate preseason camp will be more have a larger attendance this year than probably any time in Lions history that I've been alive to see, at least. So you're going to see a massive amount of people out there. Might want to go check out those food court stands and stuff like that, food trucks, because I got to imagine there will be plenty around for that. Doug, Green was highly thought of enough to trade up to 4. He blocks well and plays hard. Yeah, he does. And he just, like most receivers take time to develop, let alone guys that, probably need more technique growth in them. So he could definitely be someone that comes in, and if Josh Reynolds does depart, maybe someone who helps alleviate some of that burden by stepping into that role. So spot on with that. Bergs, how cool would that be for a coach playing the Super Bowl where he coached for years? Talk about coming home, go Lions 2024 Super Bowl bound. For MCDC, going back to one of his real coaching stops. I'm sure that would be something that wouldn't be lost on him. Probably think very fondly of it. And, hey, if it happens, I think all Lions fans are going to be happy because that means we're in the Super Bowl. Anthony, hey, Coach, not too happy with some of these others out there bashing our morning show, the Rock Down podcast, and his sidekick, Lions Syndicate. Both are jokes. A couple of people messaged me about it. And, I know I've said this before. If you're in print media or social media or whatever media, if you do something and it gets attention, people are going to mimic it and copy it. What usually doesn't happen is people trying to bash people. I mean, to me, that's kind of lowbrow stuff, especially if you're going to, copy the videos and copy the formats. So you're saying you don't like something, but then you go and do it. It is what it is, man. I mean, I wouldn't worry too much about it. To me, I look at it from the opposite standpoint. It's kind of flattery. I've done, we, the Do Crew, have done something enough where they want to mimic it and copy it. So, I mean, if you're doing that, you must enjoy something about it, right? All right, Drumps. Woo! There you go. A woo for you. Doug, Lucas was at least a really good special teams player. Yeah, and he is, and maybe he can develop beyond that. Trump, oh yeah, snap into a Slim Jim. Little Macho Man Randy Savage there. I like it. All right, Matthew. Stephen Gilmore from Dallas has to have shoulder surgery. Boy, sorry, I got tongue-tied twisted on that. We'll have enough injured players unless he comes over as a low-pay consultant coach to help his brother develop. Yeah, I don't see him as an option just because of his age, the injury issue, etc. I just think if you're going to sign somebody, there's too many other options. I'd be more in favor of Manuel Mosley at this point, just because at least he knows the systems, the play calls, the coaches, the team. And again, with Emmanuel Mosley, you'd have to get him at a fairly low cost, I would think, since he hasn't played in nearly 2 full seasons. All right, Michael, whatever happened to trying to land Max Crosby to the team? Whew. Could it happen? Yeah, but I mean, it'd be great to have him. I just don't see Brad Holmes giving up, 2 first-rounders, maybe a first, second, and third, something in that scenario. That just doesn't seem very Holmes-esque. But if it happens, I'm sure everybody's going to be jumping up and down about it. JDC, my toast this morning had the outline of a Lions logo. Man, did you get a picture of it before you ate it? That's what I want to know. If you did, you need to send that over. That could be a thumbnail logo for sure. A sign of the toast of destiny, where the Lions are going to go. So you might even be able to sell that on eBay for a little bit of money. Anyways, Doug, we will be spending more for the base of our team, depending on Goff being, quote, reasonable. We haven't so far overpaid anyone. Brad is not going to start. Sewell, Brown, maybe. Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what Panay and Amon-Ra, do as far as their contract talks. I get the speculation of $25 million, for 3 years, $25 million per year for 3 years for St. Brown. Is that really going to happen? I don't know. The crazy part is at $25 million, he's still not going to be. I want to say he's going to be on just the outside of the top 5 receivers in the NFL. So is that an indication he is taking some sort of a discount? I'll let you guys debate that part. Doug, Martin just needs to become more of a gladiator. Yeah, and they'll coach him up, they'll grow him up, they'll develop him. And I know we've talked about it early in the show already. Maybe the new defensive line coach will help assist with speeding up his and other players' developments. All right, mile marker, good morning. I'm happy with Holmes. Listening to you all while shoveling the back porch. Talk louder. All right, I'll try to talk it up a little bit. Hopefully it's not too snowy where you are. We got a little bit, it looks like, outside here, not a ton. Michael, we are not poor on wide receiver. We also still have Raymond. Yeah, we still have Khalif Raymond, Green. I mean, there's a lot of options we'll have to help fill in if Josh Reynolds departs. All right, Matthew, Levi said at the end of the season that he was very happy because he had made it to the end of the season without injury. His hope was to have a full offseason to finally strengthen and develop. Yeah, if he can do that, to your point, and continue to grow, then, I don't know if he's ever going to be a home run player, but if he can just be a solid backup, give you some snaps and reps, then you know what? That's not so bad. It's not what we all anticipated for him, but given the circumstances, I'd say, that's not so bad at all. Donkey Kong, Super Bowl or bust. Good morning to you. Hopefully you're having a great one there, Donkey. Philly, what do you got? Good morning. Back at you, Philly. All right, Doug, cornerback, the ability to mirror a wide receiver. Yeah, the faster you can follow that guy, get in and out of breaks, 100%. You've got to keep up. Weston Line, good morning, Coach. Greetings from the UK. Well, hopefully you're having a great one over there, and it's got to be getting close to noon over there, I would think. Maybe I'm wrong. Don't hold me to that. That sounds right. Let's see. Matthew, Broderic Martin said that he is going to try transforming his body in the offseason, like Aleem and Hutch did last year. And, that's where probably most players make their biggest leap is between that freshman and sophomore year or first and second year. You guys get it. So it'll be interesting to see what they're able to do with them. Nathan, good morning, Duke Crew. Can't wait to see what Brad does in the draft this year. Yes. And it'll be, I've told you guys my thoughts. I think we're probably trading out of the 29th pick. I told you what I think we're going to get as far as, probably if we trade out and if we do it with somebody who wants a quarterback for the 5th-year option, you're probably getting a second and then some other picks in return, maybe even something for the following year. So that would be my anticipation. Doug, how much would you think would you want to spend on James Houston? Whew. That's going to be a tough one because a lot of people are going to pay for him because what he did is rookie year here and that potential. So I don't think anybody's going to go crazy, but I could see him getting 2, 3, maybe somebody steps him and even gives him $5 million a year. And considering where he was, that's a massive jump. The downside for him, unfortunately, is just that second year was injury riddled, and he only got a very limited amount of snaps. So I hope we can keep him, because I'm still sold on the kid. You guys have heard me talk about him ad nauseum throughout the season, but that's my anticipation, probably somewhere between $2 and $5 million a year. But if somebody goes more than that, then he's probably not a Lion anymore. All right, Weston, Aleem needs to take Martin under his wing off season and streamline him up. Yeah, streamline him up, coach him up. Yeah, I'm guessing there'll be a lot of people trying to help him out with that. All right, Doug, we rotated DTs because we were on a playoff run. No room to rely on Broderic so much. Yeah, and maybe next year that changes, where he comes in and he's one of the more rotational pieces. All right, Doug, I don't think if he ever really got a chance myself. One of the negatives of AG, he hunches and does a bunch of clubhouse ratings like Houston before Buffalo game. He calls his own skins. Yeah, he's calls it owning skins. Yeah, and it is what it is. Obviously, the Lions finally discovered Iffy, Houston, etc. Maybe next year there's a little bit more freedom to get guys in and out. So we'll see what they do, but I'm just glad that they eventually did get them all on the field. Dale, very fair and valid points regarding paying big money to free agents, then asking for, quote, hometown discounts from players who, quote, prove it here. A dedicated balancing act there. Enjoy the dew. I will definitely enjoy my morning Mountain Dew today. Let me tell you that. Rest assured. And thanks for that, Dale. Doug, of course, could be a starter in rounds 1 or 2. Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and O-line, D-line. Yeah, and don't forget kicker. Later in the draft, if we can snag a kicker who's going to be the starter. Hey, if you get an offensive line, defensive line, and a kicker, you got 3 starters this year. That's probably going to be hard to do repeatedly after this. Weston, we find day 1 starters in rounds 3 to 4. We do. Will it happen this year? As far as somebody getting drafted in rounds 3 or 4 and stepping in the start, only time will tell. A bit later, due to yearly player turnovers and other factors, every GM's target should be that the first 3 rounds of players are starters, and you find something else later in rounds, otherwise cannot keep up with the turnover. Yeah, you're spot on with that. As much as everybody loves the Detroit Lions, it sounds like the vast majority of players love it here. There's no way you can keep everybody. Josh Reynolds, I think, totally loves it here. Are we going to be able to retain him and 4 other guys that, unfortunately, just because of attrition through salaries, you can't retain everybody? That's why the salary cap's there. So you're spot on. You got to constantly be looking for the next person. JDC at Billy, so true. 100%. Yeah, I agree. Steve, Jerry Ball could dunk a basketball. Yeah, dude was crazy athletic. Don't forget Barry Sanders at whatever he was, 5'8", 5'9", could explode and get a dunk. He just had massive legs, man. All right, Doug, Jerry Ball had a tremendous ability to also go sideline to sideline. Great player. Yeah, and people just, when you saw him, he was not a small human being by any stretch. And what he could do, I mean, it's kind of sad he isn't remembered more in Lions fandom or lore. And it's unfortunate. He was the guy, though, for a long time. Bear, Holmes is not good at drafting defensive tackles. Track record stinks. Grab Hunter. No, they haven't hit the home run yet. I guess you could say Aleem's probably the closest to the home run, and I would call him a triple in baseball terms. But anyways, you're right. They haven't hit anything out of the park yet. Maybe the new defensive line coach helps change that around a little bit. We'll have to wait and see. As far as Hunter, it'd be nice to get him. I'm just being fair with what I say here. I don't see the Lions paying somebody that amount. I hope I'm wrong, because I would love to have Hunter. I think it would help transform the defense radically. It's just, again, using the analogy, if you're going to ask the people you drafted who want to stay here to take slight discounts, it's going to be hard to go out and pay a free agent top dollar then, because wait. We took a little bit of shaving, but yet you're giving this guy top dollar. Yeah, that would cause a locker room problem in a hurry. Matthew, what has Hooker done? ? He has done what every backup quarterback does. He has trained with the team. He has learned the scheme. He is taking his offseason to train with Teddy Bridgewater. He helps team practice. Yeah, I mean, so far, he's knocked it out of the park. He's done absolutely everything the coaching staff could ask from him. And based on what limited knowledge I know of the guy, that seems in line with who he is. So I have no doubt at some point he's going to get a shot, whether it's with the Detroit Lions or some other team in 3 to 4 years. He's going to get a shot, and I think he's probably going to be a pretty decent NFL quarterback. Does it mean he's going to be better than Jared Goff? I don't know. I haven't seen nearly enough. He just seems to have all the intangibles, and to me, that includes the emotional components to who he is. Matthew, Martin would not have been there by the next pick. Yeah, you could see as soon as we drafted him, sort of like with Hendon Hooker, you saw a lot of teams trade out behind us because they had to reassess and reevaluate. That's who they were going to take. How about that? Doug Ragnow played injured. Ansel played injured. If he was able to be played, just like Bugs and other players, quote, illnesses, it's a way of, quote, choosing starters. Yeah, there's probably a whole lot of truth to that. Doug, if he said himself, he felt he was already always able to perform. Yeah, and sometimes ain't saying that coaches get something stuck in their head and they stick to it. But we also talked throughout last season, Aaron Glenn can be stubborn, in my opinion. And perhaps, as you're alluding to, Doug, and other people in the chat, maybe that stubbornness affects players getting on the field. Ken, Bit Lady, Brad Holmes has a whole different scale regarding player values. Skill set resides right under character, grit, motor. This GM is something we've never seen before. Competent and smart, exclamation point. He is, and he's crushing it. He's changed this team so fast. It's hard to believe. Just 3 years ago, you probably would have been laughed out of the gym if you said the Lions would have been in contention to win the Super Bowl just 3 years later. Charles, what do you got on Goff? Ride out contract, then franchise him. Give him big payday. Let go, then Hooker. Time by then Johnson will probably be somewhere else. There could be some truth to that by the time, if in your scenario, if you let him Goff play out the final year of his contract and then franchise him, then yes, Brent Johnson's probably somewhere else, and maybe those two hook up wherever that is, and then you're having Hooker supplant Goff in that scenario. Is that so? Holmes makes me curious about every move he makes. The guy is inscrutable. Yeah, and he's, I know yesterday's thumbnail, the chess piece playing, that's just kind of who he is. I have no doubt Brad Holmes puts out as much misinformation as he does actual information. And bravo to him. He doesn't want anybody to know what he's potentially actually going to do. And he wants everybody guessing. He wants everybody to think he values this person more than he values that person. And that is really the role of the GM. And, the more and more I talk about it, I know we talk about it with you guys about doing a show on what it's like to be a GM and or a scout. I think that needs to be done. I think it would be great for everybody to get at least some, I've never been a GM at his level. I've been a GM at a few different levels. And I don't think the job, changes a ton from moment A or league A or B, but you get the point. I think it would be great for people to get some real ideas and insight to the life of a general manager. And I'll say this, Brad Holmes, he could put on a master class for it. I think he does a well of a job. Codename, all right. Codename V. That is a great plan, Charles. Yeah, there we go. All right. Mr. Nico, the DCN, Do Crew Nation, will get this team to the Super Bowl. I like the way you're thinking. We need Coach Do to give the rally speech video package every game. Hey, you know what? Hey, if that's what I need to do to help everybody out, I have no problem giving a pregame coach speak talk. Yeah, we'll coach everybody up, try to fire up the troops, so to speak. Bit Lady, I'm a Roz Saints potential contract at $25-26 million a year would put him in the wide receiver rank around fourth in the league. Yeah, I want to say he was right around fifth with that, so thanks for that. On par with A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, info only, but just to know what we are dealing with here. Yeah, and if he does take that, to your point, is he taking a hometown discount by getting that? And that will be the argument, I guess, if I'm his representation. If he comes in, we'll just say $25 million a year, and it's fifth, fourth in the league, I'd also be saying, hey, we all know in a month from now that fifth in the league is now going to be eighth in the league. So he is giving the Lions a hometown discount in that scenario. So it's something for us all to consider. Uncle Buzz, are you saying the NFL is allowed to use the UFL as a farm system? It's going to happen, man. No different than every other league, arena league or whatever. Players are going to go there. They're going to try to fatten their wallets, as they should. Excuse me. Just the athlete's lifespan is not very long. So they're going to do everything they want to get more money, to develop their skills, which hopefully goes back to gets them more money. So yes, I do believe the UFL, you'll see some guys, especially if they're on expired contracts, lower level players in the NFL, you'll see a bunch of them popping up in the UFL to play and then try to secure better deals for themselves in the NFL. Trump, when does the schedule release? Schedule, yeah, I want to say it's after the draft, like 2 weeks or so after that, somewhere right around there. So that sounds about right. Is that still you? Schedule release in May. Yeah, okay, there we go. All right. Doug, Scott Jr. may be the reason we suffered in 23, commish and all. Okay. All right, I'll go with that. Doug, Jalen Reeves-Maybin really didn't even get a shot until AG had his back against the wall against Denver. Yeah, and that was kind of surprising because the dude can do some things. I think he's shown that in his time here in Detroit. But, finally he did get his opportunity, and when it happened, he took advantage of it. Boo. Alex Anzalone is a great example of our free agents. Jalen Reeves-Maybin is a prodigal son. Someone else is going to be that guy. Yeah, somebody will pop up, I'm guessing, just about every season for us. And that's kudos to the scouting department, the coaching department, the front office for all finding those guys. Dale, Coach, any inside scoops, info if we'll get new uniforms this year? And if so, sure hope we don't venture too far afoot. Hello, blue and silver all the way, Duke crew. Great show per usual, Dan. Thanks for that, Dale. And as far as the uniforms, I know they're going to have them. It's just when they come out, that I don't have anything like that for you guys. Nothing along those lines. Disciplined, morning and blessings, Coach Dan, ! Get to help on D-line and cornerback in free agency and doubling down in the draft with OL. Help with a wild card, wide receiver, or running back. Okay, yeah, there'd be nothing wrong with that. You're always looking for new players, especially in some of those spots you mentioned with the OL, DL, and cornerback positions. 100%. All right, JDC, Motor City Duke Crew, 1,000%. That really should be a T-shirt or a sweatshirt. That would be pretty good, I think. Key, how about turning your phone up, bud? Don't know if we ever thought about that as a possibility. Turning the phone up, there you go. All right. Let's see. Boy, I'm going to kill this one. Chirag, or funniest name, Trump's genius. I like what you did there, putting complete opposites together. Well done, sir. Fair enough. There we go. All right. A mile marker. Hey, Coach. Roar the Lions UK are giving out their season award picks for best players coach names. 2:30 Eastern. I know I've seen you on their show. Yeah, he does a great job. I think those guys, they really enjoy it. It's fun watching them and talking to them. I've done a couple of shows with them on Micro Mike. So good dudes. If you get an opportunity today, you want to go watch, I'm all for it and supporting them. Anthony, what do you got? Who do we have that was on a prove it deal that actually proved something? I'm trying to think, man. That's a good question. Manuel Mosley was on a prove it deal. Unfortunately got injured. CJ Gardner-Johnson, he got injured too. So I'm trying to be fair to him in that he missed a lot of the season because of injury, and then try to work his way back into things. I guess I'll have to get back to you on that, Anthony. There's none that's coming into my mind off at least the top of my noggin. Rent a center, Brad Holmes. All right, very good. There you go. That could be another thumbnail sometime. JDC, rent's getting very expensive. Yes, they are. I know where I live, they're talking about that all the time. I know, right before the pandemic, I went to Las Vegas to do a study, just for the real estate stuff in me on rents there. And then I went to Ireland to study there because, those were two of the biggest spots in the world that just saw massive rental price increases in a 5-year span. And I want to say Vegas was up like something like 300% in that time. Ireland, it got so bad in Ireland as I got there and found out that the government had to put a block. I think, and don't hold me to this, I want to say it was like 4% or 5% cap growth per year in rents because things were exploding so bad there. All right, Anthony Wright. Yep. Mr. Nico, JDC. I like Motor City Dew Crew better. There we go. All right. I think that should be a shirt. JDC. I hate it has that MCDC flavor to it. There you go. Who doesn't like Dew flavor, right? Anthony, it's he's doing his job, and that's what's expected. Our other GMs didn't. I would concur with that. Bit lady, Mr. Nico and JDC. I like that version of MCDC as well. There we go then. Billy Dale, on the Detroit Lions website, they indicated that they will have 4 new uniforms. There is a vid on them, I think, when available for jersey purchase, except not sure, worth a check out on the site. Yeah, go check out the website. And thanks for that, Bit Lady. Michael, what do you got? Great show again, Coach. Hey, glad to be here with you guys. All right, Trump's Patel, go back to, oh boy, here we go. All right, Doug Glasgow was a prove it. Yeah, that's a good point. He'd been here before, but he came back on a 1-year deal. I wonder if they're going to say or retain him this year. I would think so, but we'll see. JDC Magic 8 Ball says, Lions Talk Live. Thumbs up. Thanks for that. I appreciate that. I'd say he proved it. Yes, Doug, I would concur. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get off the show. It's been a little over an hour. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so, making that push to get to 5,900. We're about 80 subs away, so if you could help out with that, I surely would be thankful. Also, if you like today's video, don't be afraid to hit the thumbs up thingy. Other than that, if there's some breaking news later today, I'll try to get out to you, and then we'll see you on the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.